Alright, so I wanted to do a little update video here. This is, of course, as you guys saw in my last video, with the SOMA robot tank toy. Now, I don't know if you guys ever saw my initial repair video, but as you probably noticed in the video, the tank really didn't move around that well, so I said let me revisit this and see what I can do to get this to work a little bit better. So let me show you guys what I've done here. And now what I've done, for the most part, the main thing that I've done, there's been a couple of revisions that I've done to this, and you can see right across the top here, there's a little piece of clear plastic, and you might be looking at this and thinking, what in the heck is going on with this? And yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because a lot of the pieces are broken off, they're missing. This is a pretty rare toy to find. I mean, it's not super valuable. It's just since these were, you know, uncommon and knockoff toys. You do see them on eBay, but they're pretty uncommon, so parts are next to impossible. So when something goes wrong, you have to try to engineer your own workaround for it. So what I've done here is right in this position here, between these pegs, you would have had a little runner that would have gone over here, and I believe it would have extended over here as well, and it would have had a little hole to go over the top of this gear here to keep it stable, and the top of this gear here to keep that stable. Now the problem with this is that wasn't there. So the bottom wheels here, when they hit a surface, they go up and down. Now since that little retaining bar is missing, it wobbles all over the place, and it does not stay where it needs to stay. So what I did was I shortened the initial peg for it to try to match up as flush as I can with this little worm drive here, which is what that's called on the end of this DC motor. And but I was having a big problem because I was able to get this to go over this peg because that was already here. But then getting this to stabilize, I mean, that was, wow, that was a lot of work. So I came up with this idea where I just took, this is the little tip of a pen, and it fits the diameter of that peg very well, and that's crazy glued into the top portion of that gear. And since it's a nice, you know, nice metal, it's smooth, it's not going to have a lot of resistance going up against this, so there's two holes that are cut out, and so that's keeping that stable and spinning. Also in the back here I had another problem, and I don't know where the piece went. So you'll see this little piece of metal right here. Well, this is missing. That broke off. That's the retainer that holds the motor. So you might think, well, why is that there? Why isn't it here? And that's because it needs to be in this position to just snug up that little spindle drive against that gear. If you put it back here, it's not going to work. It'll hold the motor in place, but it won't keep the gear in place. And then I've gone ahead and I crazy glued the plastic part, no electronics, to the base, so that way the motor doesn't move around or come out of socket. And then on this side here, all the different wires and stuff, they've all been crazy glued out of the way, so that way they're not brushing against anything, they're not causing any resistance. So this, at the moment, it seems to be working pretty good. I haven't assembled it all together. I mean, it has been working, but it's gone through a lot of different, you know, repairs and revisions. So, I'll put this back together first, and then I'll show you guys what that all looks like, and then, you know, I'll go ahead and we'll give it a full test run once it's all assembled. So you can probably already see right off the bat, there's a number of changes that I've done to this. Number one, we have the little American flag. I just printed that out and glued that on there. That was missing, so that looks a lot better. Number two, I fixed the turret on this. So how I did that was I just unscrewed this, took some Scotch tape, some just, you know, regular clear Scotch tape, and wrapped it about 1 or 2 times around the peg, and then that tightened it up to where, you know, that'll stay in pretty much any position that you want to put it in, instead of it just drooping down and stuff like that. So that looks a lot better. Now you'll notice it has its missile launchers on the top here, but these are not actual like the actual parts. These are just printouts that I printed out, laminated with some clear tape, double-sided printed them, and then crazy glued them to the top. So you can see how you can see the image on either side. And I don't have a 3D printer or anything, so I don't really know how to make it wrap all the way around, look like a solid piece. But I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it does look a little odd how they're kind of square in the front. Like, they do look a little odd. But I think they look a lot better than having nothing, and the detail is really nice. You know, I think that it really looks good, so I think it adds to the tank. It definitely doesn't take away. I also had to repair this on the bottom here. This peg here, this was completely missing. So I just took the part of a thumbtack, snipped that off, sanded it down, and then glued it in place of the wheel. And that spins a lot better now, because that was that was really sagging when I would go to turn it on. So I'm sure that was not helping it to move at all. So let me go put the batteries in this, and then you can see it in its tank mode and its robot mode. And something else really cool that I got working again now is this originally had a bump and go feature, which is now really working good. The only things that are not working on this, which I actually tried today and had to do some creative wiring to fix that problem, is the switch. I cannot get this switch to work. This is actually a replacement switch I replaced with it. I don't know what is going on with the polarity of this switch. I thought I had it set up right to the positive, going to the positive terminal of the motor, and then the negative going to the negative terminal. And I mean, it did dial down the power, so it did work, but it would not shut all the way off. And I'm thinking probably the reason for that is this switch, like, it moves up and down fine, but I think that it might just be slightly too large for that opening, and I don't think it's fully closing the circuit, and I think that's the problem. So anyway, with all that aside, let's get some batteries put in this thing, and you can see how it works now, which is a heck of a lot better than what you've seen before. All right, so I've got the batteries in it, and it's ready to go, so let's let it zip around in its tank mode here. And this is how it was originally supposed to work. And it just kind of like moves around in all wacky different directions. And then when it bumps something, like I'll put my foot here, like it just starts backing up. And then, whoop, there we go. Sometimes it gets stuck on stuff. That's not supposed to happen. But yeah, it just like does all this crazy stuff, which is like really cool. This is how it's supposed to work, and I haven't seen it work like this since like I was growing up, which is really fun to see this, like how it's intended to work. And it totally reminds me of like the stuff you saw in front of like KB and stuff like that. So that's just so cool. So let me go ahead, we'll transform it into its robot mode, and you can see how that works. Alright, so I've got him all transformed in his robot mode, so let's let him do his thing. And we'll give him a little bump there. And so pretty much he'll just go around in circles until he actually bumps into something, and then he'll change direction. But I think overall it looks really good with the light on and the new little fake missiles on the side. I think the overall, he looks really good. Alright, so that's going to wrap up my little update on this retro repair for this SOMA tank. And I have got so many of these coming out soon, you wouldn't even believe. I am probably working on another 4 to 5 projects as we speak. So look for a lot more of videos like this in the future. Until then, See you next time, guys.
Hey guys, if you liked the video that you just watched, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and you can follow me at Facebook at King of Retro or Twitter at #8ByteBrian. See you next time.